Chelsea are entering into the final stages of their Jules Kounde transfer pursuit. A new official bid is imminent and is expected to be submitted into Sevilla very, very soon. There are contradictory reports today. Some suggest that Chelsea are already in direct contact with Sevilla. Others are suggesting that it's all been done via the agents. But the end result is the same. This is a needless point to argue over. Whether they're using the intermediaries and agents or going directly to the football club, Chelsea have been working on this deal to bring Jules Kounde to Stamford Bridge for the majority of the summer. The only situation holding this deal up has been Kurt Zouma. Getting him out of the club, balancing those books, protecting themselves against any potential FFP breaches is smart business from the Stamford Bridge and West London outfit. A verbal agreement is now in place, as per David Ornstein, between West Ham United and Chelsea over the fee for Kurt Zouma. But still, the only stumbling block that is stopping both these deals from progressing into those final stages, the legal reviews and conclusions of these deals, is the personal terms of Kurt Zouma. Currently, West Ham United are short of what he is demanding. The player does want to stay in London, and he's also up for and open to leaving Stamford Bridge. Jules Kounde was reported as maybe being a deal that was going to be called and off over the weekend. As it stands right now, Chelsea are fighting hard to get him. They already know the fee they've got to play. Personal terms have been agreed between Jules Kounde and Chelsea as per many weeks now. We're going to delve into this. We're also going to take a look at the Tchouaméni situation, the Saul Niguez situation as well, what's going on in that, plus other transfer news as well. The link's going to be shared very soon for you to phone in and have your say. But please hit the retweet button on Twitter, subscribe, like, and share if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're on Twitch, make sure you've smashed that follow button. Let's go straight into this, people. Good morning. Welcome back to the Terrace. It's Transfer Talk. We're going into the home straight now with just 8 days remaining in this window for business to be concluded. Chelsea, of course, nowhere near as active as the summer of 2020 when they brought in 672,000 players to the squad. It's been a much more calculated and meticulous approach this year, looking for the real gems to improve this squad. Of course, we saw debutant Romelu Lukaku yesterday destroy things at the Emirates, looking the absolute real deal back in a Chelsea shirt. And, you know, a Jules Kounde, maybe a midfielder being added to this Chelsea team. Look, it's bad news for rivals. It's legitimately bad news for rivals. There's no doubt about it. Of course, we saw the news today pushed out by Damasio that Atalanta will pay 10 million euros for David Zabacosta to sign him from Chelsea on a permanent deal. Chelsea have actually done tremendous business when it comes to getting rid of players in the space of the last couple of weeks. You will see across the whole transfer market a number of outgoings in the next. This is when it will accelerate. I think what's happened this summer, my reading of the situation has very much been clubs have been holding off. They've been trying to get players as cheap as possible. They've been trying to drive down, of course, wages. They always do, but very much so trying to drive down the price of these players, putting clubs into a bit of a position, as Chelsea are trying to do with both Chelsea and Manchester United. They want Kurt Zouma. They want Jesse Lingard. They know that both Chelsea and Man United need to sell players now before they buy. So they're holding out from putting their bids in to try and drive that price down. And for a club like West Ham, if you say £5 million on the transfer fee, that's going to pay the majority of the wages of this player for a year or two at least. So it makes perfect business sense as to why this is being done. But we are now getting into a situation where it very much feels like these deals are moving into the final stages. As we've known for a long time, personal terms have not been an issue when it comes to the Jules Kounde deal. That's something which I think everybody is more than aware of. I don't think it needs to be reiterated again. The player, as per the words of Fabrizio Romano, is buzzing and wants to join Chelsea Football Club. So none of these areas have been real concerns for anybody at all. It's always been about, and I must have said this 1,000 times on the terrace, it's been about the Kurt Zouma situation. We were very much, we're a little bit, we jumped the gun a little bit, really, when it comes to the Jules Kounde deal. One of the individuals we spoke to just said it's done. It's a situation that's going to go ahead. That was more so because he believed Zouma was up for leaving and there wouldn't be a problem with personal terms. But of course, what stopped Jules Kounde already being a Chelsea player was Zouma not agreeing terms with both Sevilla and with West Ham for the first time round. That just cooled things slightly. But there has never been an issue. There has never been a thought yet in the Chelsea, or a serious thought from the Chelsea camp, that they're going to look to pull away from this deal. An official bid will come in this week. It's expected that this official bid is going to be enough. It would be very unlikely that Chelsea would put a bid in that's going to be 15, 20, 30 million pounds below the asking price. They know what was going on. They're expected to get somewhere in the region around 30 million, between 20 and 30 million pounds in for Kurt Zouma. That is what's going to make up the difference between the cash plus player deal that was agreed between Sevilla and Chelsea a few short weeks ago. That agreement has been very much played down by a lot of the media. And of course they're going to do that. Of course they're going to play down that there was an agreement in place in case the deal goes through, because it infuriates fans. You saw a lot of talk over the weekend about, Thomas Tuchel changing his mind, looking to walk away, looking at alternative options, etc. There's never any real seriousness to that at all. A new bid is incoming and is on its way very, very soon indeed. I want to go to some of your comments that are coming through here. Good morning, Maria Williams. Hope you're well. Got comments here from Fix Her World. It says United dropped the ball signing Sancho, luxury signing and not essential to our success. I disagree. I disagree with that. Maybe we can delve into some more general chat later. Where I disagree completely with this notion is there may be a burning desire to sign a central midfield player, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't have signed Jadon Sancho. The longer we left the Jadon Sancho situation, the more likely it was that a rival team would suddenly start to seriously pursue him. Man United had to strike while the iron is hot. That's the way the business end of this spectrum works. United do have ideals on central midfielders they want to come in, but they've been difficult to attain this year. Declan Rice is the main target of Manchester United in those areas. Camavinga was another. And as of now, those deals haven't been doable. So what you've got, I know that a lot of people say, get Basuma, get Ruben Neves. I'd like those players too. But we've all been very impressed with the quality of player that's been purchased in the last 2 years, barring one or two players, right? So let the club do its business. We may not sign players in the order of which satisfies your requirement for this instant gratification to make you feel good about yourself. We may not sign the players that are on your wish list. But the majority of individuals we have signed have improved this team in one way or another and will continue to do so. And at the end of the day, I would rather Man United wait one more summer to get our first target, maybe even our second target, then go for somebody that's third, fourth, fifth on the list. That is what I've always demanded. That is what I'm going to stand by. Good morning, Monso here says, smash the like button if Kounde is joining this week. And we've obviously got the poll that's running right now. I haven't checked what the poll says. 82% of you think that Chelsea will complete the deal for Jules Kounde this week. And I totally and utterly understand that. Zaza says, Terry, do you remember me? I do remember the name Zaza in the comment section. Long time no see. Hope you are well. PSG are leading the race for Camavinga and offering more game time than United. I mean, that's just a standard claim. I mean, Dean Jones told us about the Camavinga situation 6 weeks ago here on the Football Terrace. So we don't need any other journalist input on this. Man United want him, but Man United haven't pursued it heavily because the player has always made it abundantly clear that Paris Saint-Germain and the Spanish giants were his preference over coming to the Premier League. Everybody knows this. That is now being ignored because it's going to be twisted into why didn't Man United get the deal done? United made the inquiries and Camavinga's team have been very open. We're not against coming to the Prem, but PSG, Real Madrid, as two examples, are above you in that pecking order. So if those clubs come in, they are far more likely to sign the player. It just becomes, we have to get out of this, but it's not what I want. It's not what I want. It's the reality of the situation. Not every single player wants to join Man United as a first priority. There are many other clubs across Europe. United, of course, looked into Tchouaméni last week. That's being played down by the club. Ruben Neves is still a potential option. Man United, don't be surprised, though, if we're waiting for a reason. If Man United are waiting for a reason that maybe involves Jesse Lingard along the way, let's see what happens in that space in the next 7 to 8 days. Would I like a midfielder? Yes. Would I prefer to wait for the right midfielder who is top of that priority list for our club? Absolutely. Medium to long-term planning is always required at a club. Short-termism is cheapness, and cheap is expensive. CR7 is joining Tottenham. I have seen that circulated on socials. I have seen that circulated on social media. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it when I started to read that. I read that. It made me laugh a little bit, but I would say absolutely not. I'd say absolutely not. Make sure you hit that like button, people. If you're watching over on our Twitter account, please make sure you give us a retweet right about now. That would be amazing. Or come and join us here right now on the Football Terrace. That would be absolutely amazing if you could. I'm going to share the link now. It's going to be in our notification group chat. The notification group chat link is in our description below. If you haven't joined it already, I'm going to share the link in there now. If you only join our group now at this point, you won't see it. Message me when you've joined and I'll repost it again, but it's in the group chat now. I'll also share the group chat link in the comments section in case you haven't signed up to that group chat yet. It's where all our notifications go, where all our links go to call into shows. So get yourself onto that right about now and let us know what you're saying. We want to take some of your calls on this situation. But of course, as we said in the build-up to this show earlier, Chelsea moving into those final stages now to bring Jules Kounde in. Of course, the Kurt Zouma situation is interesting because we found ourselves in a situation now where West Ham have got a verbal agreement in place with Chelsea to make Kurt Zouma a West Ham player. It's going to be very intriguing to see how this plays out, but everything is pretty much where it needs to be. It would be a big shock to me, a genuine shock to me, if these deals didn't complete based on what we're seeing. Of course, the tier ones are going to play this down. But one of the biggest reports I saw, which really stood out to me, and we'll show you some of these reports right now. Of course, there was the Fabrizio Romano update that came out that was very much about, Chelsea are in direct contact with Sevilla, new bidding coming in the coming days. Chelsea need to find a solution with Zouma. Kind of played down the Zouma situation. Of course, since this point, we have seen David Ornstein come out and say that there is a verbal agreement that is in place between the clubs. I did see that somewhere this morning. I now can't find it. There definitely was an update or a tweet or something that got put out. There it is there. I was looking at it and I couldn't see it on my screen. As we can see, 30 million euro verbal. It's interesting that he's speaking in euros when he's talking about two English teams, but there we go. Verbal agreement in place. But personal terms are the issue at this moment in time, which is, again, very much what we've been saying on the Football Terrace, the entirety of this potential transfer in relation to that. There was another update that came in from Nazar Kinsella. Again, another very, very credible journalist indeed, whose update, again, was slightly different, where he said that Chelsea are not in contact with Sevilla about Kounde, but continue to interact with his agent. And what I would say is this: look, they might be forced to pay the full 68 million release clause, but could raise 26 million through the sale. And this just echoes everything that we've been saying on the terrace from day dot on this deal. One, Chelsea were always willing to increase the offer of cash being made. But at the point where Chelsea had that agreement in place, it was a two-tiered agreement in place with Sevilla already. They just assumed that if Zouma didn't go, not assumed, that makes it sound like they're Cowboys. They were under the belief that West Ham were going to make the offer right into Zouma, so that if he didn't go to Sevilla as part of the swap deal, he would just move to West Ham and then they could complete. That then got scarpered because West Ham didn't offer enough money. West Ham have now come back. They've improved their offers and they're closing in on a deal. The only information that we got wrong on the terrace was just the timing of this thing. But in terms of the actual mechanics, what's gone wrong, what's been the hold up, what the problems are, that was just slightly fed into us, not in the wrong order, but just in terms of its severity. And I've learned my mistake from that. It's a very new thing for me to be doing on social media now, actually getting direct information from journalists and, football agents. My involvement with Snack has given me access to things which I never dreamed I would have access to. And it's about me maybe learning to temper the situations a little bit rather than just reporting exactly what I hear. It's, next time, because I know what I'm doing next time, I'm holding back slightly. That's what I'm doing, which is, I now understand why journalists hold back on information. Now, I'm not a journalist. I don't profess to be a journalist. I'm a YouTube content creator who aggregates news. I've just recently, as I say, been given access to different things from before. And we all know about my integration with Snack that's made that possible. But there's nothing about this deal that I would say should be concerning for Chelsea fans. And even this part here about there's been no direct contact. It's all they're talking through the agent. It's the same difference. Because if Chelsea are talking to the agent, the agent then just goes and speaks directly to Chelsea, to Sevilla. It's like we've said all summer. This unofficial official bid, talking to intermediaries, not talking to the clubs. It's all a fugazi. It's all smoke and mirrors. If you're talking to the agent, you're in official conversations. Let's not allow the semantics and the framing of generally, it's fans that are doing this now, trying to protect their football clubs. It's embarrassing. If Chelsea are talking to the agent about this deal intensely, then this is a proper deal. You know what I mean? Who cares if they can walk away and Mr. Cancella, who I respect, can say, "Oh, but Chelsea were never in direct contact with Sevilla. It's okay." Fans know the truth. In their heart of heart, what you tweet and what you feel in your heart, we all know is very, very different indeed. We've got a super chat here that says, on Saul Niguez, what's the current update? The current update is Liverpool haven't increased the salary offer to Saul Niguez as of now. Simply hasn't happened, hasn't been done. The player is still up for joining Liverpool Football Club, but Chelsea have got more heavily involved in recent times. Chelsea have moved into a situation where they could potentially, bear with me a second here, where they could potentially sweep in and steal the show. They could potentially sweep in and steal the show here with a loan move to begin with a non-obligation to buy clause instilled into the contract as an example, and paying not the entire wage, a percentage of them. This is something that may be more suitable for Saul Niguez over Liverpool because he's still going to get his full wages. He gets the opportunity to play in the Premier League. And if he does well at Chelsea, which most predict him to do because he's a top-class player, it puts him into a situation where he can just make the move next year. And everybody's happy to pay him the salary that he wants and the fee that's needed, because why would you not if somebody's successful? So Liverpool Football Club could end up being gazumped here for this player. However, Liverpool have been one of the front runners for him for the majority of this summer. That hasn't changed. That isn't any different. So it's going to be very, very intriguing to see how this pans out, how this works, and how this moves forward. If you want to phone in and have your say, we're going to share the link again now in the group chat. So get yourself across to our group chat. It's pinned on the comment section. So if you want to phone up and you want to get involved, get that app downloaded, get yourself called in as it stands right now. Fixer is going to be on the show first with me this morning to have his say. Welcome back to the terrace, mate. What's on your mind?
Hello, Terry. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm very well, my friend. What do you want to talk about this morning?
Manchester United and the game we had yesterday.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So basically, what I'm gonna say is, I think the problem from United. I know a lot of people say it starts from the top down, but in my opinion, I think it starts from the ground up. I think we don't have enough players in the mold of Pogba and Bruno Fernandes. I think we need two players that are exactly like that. I was watching Pogba very closely yesterday, and I have to admit, he's an incredible player. Not a lot of people can do what he does. But the problem is we don't have enough of them. And I'm beginning to understand his gripe and his frustrations, because if you're as good as Pogba and you have the ability to influence the game so much, there's only so much you and Bruno Fernandes can do. If the rest of the players can match up to that level, then it's going to be the same stuff that's been happening. I mean, I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's just a second game," but what pisses me off is the pattern is beginning to show again. You know, we play well one game, and when I say play well, I mean we have a world-class performance, and the very next game, not even 2 games down the road, the very next game we're shit. And that's what we've been saying since even before Solskjaer came in. But I think Solskjaer has a large sort of role to play in the inconsistency of our club, and we need to really sit down as a club, fan base, whatever, and find out what exactly is going on, because I can't explain it anymore. I've thought about everything, and there's no real explanation. We have the players, better players than Southampton for sure, and we just can't seem to string 2 wins together. It's becoming really alarming, and there's no way we're going to win a title or anything because we play well in the semi-finals. We're going to lose the final. There's just no consistency whatsoever.
I do get you bringing it up. I mean, it was more of a Chelsea transfer show this morning, so my head wasn't sort of prepared for like Man United talk. But look, I think, like we said it yesterday on the match review, it wasn't great. I do think there's this element of let's not throw baby out with the bathwater after one game. What I saw yesterday, do you know the difference was? I watched the game back last night. When you re-watch a football match, it looks very different. We should have scored 3 times before they did. Like the player made some good blocks and we weren't clinical enough in front of goal. The difference between Man United and Chelsea yesterday as examples was clinical edge in front of goal. If like I know there was blocks in, Pogba should be scoring that volley. Both Pogba's volleys for me, I expect those to go in. I know a player made a good block, but I expect them to go in. The cross, Lindelof missing that header was terrible. And then we scrambled it, hit the bar. Martial should have finished that opportunity as an example. Mason Greenwood should have buried his header from that cross. We had gilt-edged chances to win the game. So I was frustrated at the lineups. I think we could have got some things different. But actually watching the game back and re-reflecting, my view is slightly different to my match reaction, which is just we should have won that game. We should have put it to bed. And so for me, I would be more concerned if we played that game yesterday and we didn't have the 4 or 5 chances to score 3 or 4 clear-cut goals. That would be a bigger concern to me, mate. But Fixer, thanks for coming on, mate, and having your say. Really appreciate it, bro. Top man. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. We're here talking transfers. There is some breaking news here. In relation to Saul Niguez. I'm not too sure if H. Grimes has been listening to the Terrace, but this literally, I'm going to share it because it's breaking news. It's what we've been saying all summer about this deal. H. Grimes here has said that Liverpool are not keen to spend the Saul Niguez wage. Saul Niguez is not keen to earn less. Liverpool out of the race. According to H. Grimes. If this turns out to be true, I'm not particularly shocked. I'm not particularly, I don't know what the right word is to use on this situation, but it's not something that I would say is strange. It isn't a strange update to receive at this moment in time because as reported all summer, Liverpool and Atletico Madrid came to a verbal agreement on what the deal would be, is in the money. It would be between 35 and 40 million. My view was always that Liverpool would try to drive that down at the 11th hour, but they had an agreement. Liverpool Football Club have made direct contact 3 times for serious conversations about salaries and structures and the package that Saul Niguez would receive. Saul Niguez was, or maybe even is, up for still joining Liverpool Football Club. There is no doubt. But it came down to the wages. 300,000 euros a week Saul Niguez is earning. He did not want to take a major pay cut. I think he would be up for taking a smaller one. Liverpool went in with their typical approach, which was a smaller base with an incentivized top-up. What is interesting to see is whether or not this Liverpool approach can continue to work when they're shopping in a different... It's okay, I think, when you're going for people at the stage of their careers of Konates, where the Manes and the Salahs were when they signed for Liverpool, and also where Liverpool were as a football club at that point. Is it going to continue to work when you're moving further up the echelon, when you're at the dining at the elite end of the table when it comes to competitions again? That remains to be seen. I'm not confirming. I've not been told by anybody directly that Liverpool are out of this race. But as per this report here from H. Grimes, a lot of people on social media tend to respect. We're just sharing this news with you. Liverpool out, with Man United and Chelsea still remaining in talks. What's your thoughts and your feelings on that? Give us a call now, ladies and gentlemen. We'll share the link in the live comment section as well for any of those that don't use Telegram to get that link through. So if you want to phone in and have your say, please do now. Someone here says, who's this fraud tweeting H. Grimes? Look, I'm just... It's someone that gets a lot of traction online. I don't know who this person is. I have seen a lot of accuracy from this account over the course of the summer. Nobody gets everything right, ever. Even Fabrizio, who's regarded as the best, has got 3 or 4 major deals wrong this summer. And that's because things change. But I'm just putting it out there. Dwayne here says, looks like journalists are looking at the TFT for their sources. Can you imagine? They're not, but can you imagine? It is what it is. But it's because the news like there's a show we did the other day, and Dean says something live on the air, and then actually no, it was a recorded show we did with Pete, and he said something, and then before we got the show out, Fabrizio tweeted almost the same thing, and I was a bit gutted. I was like, oh, now people are going to think we copied that man. But there we go. Let's go to some more calls here. Next on the show, we're going to go to Kahir. Kahir is going to be on the show with us this morning. Welcome to the Terrace.
Morning. How are you today?
I'm very well. I assume you're a Chelsea fan.
No, United just got the. Okay. That's Chiellini, by the way.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought it was a Chelsea player. Yeah, what are you here to say, my friend?
I think that Liverpool's approach is a bit outdated. And you need to adapt to the times a little. Maybe I'll offer a bit more up front, so that way you can, get your foot in the door, and then maybe Klopp can work his magic. Because Haaland, he's going to demand big wages. The only other way I can see this working for Liverpool is if they continue to go for, a striker like Vlahovic as opposed to Haaland, because he's going from Fiorentina to Liverpool's a massive step up, and the wages are going to be slightly better regardless.
Yeah, look, I've said this a few times when it comes to this current situation with Chelsea, and I stand by it. I really do stand by it. I think with Liverpool, it's very much this case of, and I'll make sure I say this in the right way. The money ball approach is brilliant, but I think it has a shelf life when you're dealing at the elite end of the spectrum. Because if I'm the agent of a player or the CEO of a club and you want one of my players, what am I going to do? I'm going to want to increase your money ball situation. The idea of money ball, your approach is you find players who are world-class quality, but you pick them up for very cheap fees in comparison to their ability. So now when you come knocking, I'm assuming, like, if David Dickinson, do you know who David Dickinson is?
Can't say I do it from memory, but
he does bargain hunt. So he's kind of like, he does bargain.
Oh, him.
So yeah, he knows about antiques, right? I'll give you an example. If David Dickinson turned up at my house and wanted to buy a vase my nan left me, and I thought it was worth 10 quid, but he wants to buy it, I'm saying, hang on a minute. Why does this antique dealer want this vase? It's going to make me suspicious. It's going to make me do a bit of research to see whether it actually holds a higher value. If Liverpool Football Club come looking at my player who we value at 25 million, Liverpool Football Club want him, I'm not selling him for 25 million. I'm pushing that price up because maybe Liverpool have seen something that we haven't. That's why I think it end up being timed out. That's why I think it could be. But listen, my guy, thank you for the call. Really appreciate it, bro. Top man. Do you want to phone up and have your say this morning, ladies and gentlemen? You know where the link is to call in. It's in our group chat. We have shared it in the live comments section as well. Very sparse on the callers this morning. Most of you, we have loads of callers. I don't know what it is with you all today. But there we go. I have seen the YouTube video. A lot of people ask me about the fans telling Arteta to leave. Yeah, kids, innit? Kids in their phones thinking they're big. But fair play. Terry, we have a wage structure to keep. And that's fine. Like, Liverpool fans can stand by their wage structure. I'm just stating that as more and more money grows in football, if your wage structure doesn't increase with it, you will get left behind. Because people have this kind of... There will be players out there that will want to play for Klopp or Liverpool, irrespective of money, really. But most football players are just professionals. They will go where the best offer is. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. You just cannot get yourself away from it. And Liverpool fans back their structure. And I understand why, because their structure has yielded colossal results. It simply has. Amazing results. It simply has. But is it going to continue to work? Does it need to be adjusted moving forward? Many Liverpool fans will say no. Some will say yes. But only time will tell whether people are right or wrong about that. Byron's with us now. Where are all the Chelsea fans this morning? This is massive news about Jules Kounde. Where the goddamn are you with the phone-ins? You don't normally fill my phone line time up. My space is up with your calls. Where are you at today? Where are you at today? But Byron's here with me now. He's a Man United fan. What you saying, bro? You're on mute if you're trying to speak. Byron's not ready to speak, so we'll continue to move forward. Someone here says Kane to City news. There's no update in relation to that whatsoever. So there's no updates at all about that right now. Nothing outside of what's already been reported. There's some breaking news we've got to bring you right now, ladies and gentlemen. Smash that like and share button. Here we go. Simon Phillips here, friend of the terrace, says Sevilla expect Chelsea to make an offer for Jules Kounde in the next few hours. This is because that's a situation. This is because of the situation with the player's agent has presented to them. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what a lot of people expected. Maybe not in the next few hours. It goes on to say underneath that Chelsea are preparing a new offer, and this is the moment for it to happen. These are decisive days on Jules Kounde's future. I'm really not surprised by this. You know, as we reported via, our page on Give Me Sport just last week, that this deal was closing in. This deal could massively happen. This deal could get over the line, and it's definitely pursuing and moving in that direction. There, you can. I don't know if you've actually checked it out yet, ladies and gentlemen, but of course we do have our own webpage now on the Give Me Sports site, as you can see here. This is our story this morning in relation to this deal. Look at that, my name in lights. Love to see it. Love to see it. As you can see here, that's a story. And as we spoke about last week, I tweeted out things would progress. Things definitely progressed in terms of talks last week. And this deal looks like it's moving in. And if you go back to the previous article that we put out on the 13th, it did advance in the last week. Chelsea did start to progress things forward after the signing of Romelu Lukaku. These things have happened. These things have moved forward. It was always a situation. Kurt Zouma has been suggested as a make-weight after fans who agreed terms with West Ham over a move to London. So there was no pressure on Sevilla to move things forward. But we always knew that Kurt Zouma was the situation that was holding this deal up. That seems now to have progressed somewhat, which is, of course, very, very encouraging news indeed. Chelsea fans are hungover on Arsenal tears. I hear you on that one. But the deal does feel like it's getting much, much closer. And there's one little telltale sign for you as well, Chelsea fans. When Fabrizio Romano retweets his own tweets about deals, it means something new is coming. It means something new is on the way. Always remember that. That is what it means. Simple and as straightforward as that. That is what it means. That is what it means. Winter Surf is here with us now to have his say. Morning, mate. Jules Kounde closing in. Give me your thoughts and feelings, bro.
I'm excited. I've wanted Kounde in since we first linked to him. I think he's just another upgrade on the squad. You saw how deep the squad was yesterday in the Arsenal game. The bench alone, all those players could have got into the Arsenal first team. Kounde comes in. I mean, we're not even talking about starting Thiago Silva at the moment. Do you know what I mean? That's how deep the defense is, and I'm just really excited. If Zouma goes. He's got, nothing but fondness for Zouma. He might not be the best, but he's contributed to Chelsea. So I'm glad that we were able to actually make West Ham pay a decent price for him, instead of like them trying to come in on the cheap and then trying to charge us 100 million for Declan Rice, which I thought was always funny. But like I said, I think even you said, Terry, after Romelu Lukaku, Chelsea were going to try and get rid of a lot of players, either on loan or by selling them before possibly bringing someone else in. So I'm hyped for Kounde. I think it will get done this week. And then possibly a midfielder, maybe a Saul Niguez, if what H. Grimes is reporting is true. Because maybe coming in on loan. I know that's what you reported last week, and then with no obligation to buy. And maybe a Tchouaméni loaning back. So it's all exciting times. This is the transfer window suddenly now for Chelsea fans is not a grueling exercise day by day, like them waiting for signings to happen. It's now turning into possibly what could be one of the best windows we've ever had. Not just buying, but actually getting rid of players as well. So I'm really excited for Kounde coming in.
It's motoring forward nicely. And the Jules Kounde one, it's a personal deal for me, because it was when I first started my new life with under Snack. One of my first conversations with the company that we're looking to do some work with, we were just talking, we were just spitballing about work, and we got chatting about transfers. And one of the things this agent said to me is, "Oh, Chelsea are really keen this summer to bring in Jules Kounde." And I did a video about it probably back in March, and I got dog's abuse from the Chelsea fan base, and I don't even remember why now. Like, honestly, my mind, they just come at me like, "Why you make someone like DM'd me." Like, it was like it wasn't a death threat, but it was along those lines. It was like, "Why are you making up stories about Chelsea?" And I said, "Oh, look, you'll see." I just remember replying to him and saying, "Over the course of the summer, you'll see the Jules Kounde situation like really transpire and progress," and it has done. So there's a real personal element to this deal for me, because I get accused of weird stuff like, "Why do you make up transfer rumors?" I'm like, I've literally this summer spoken about 3 or 4 deals only where I've sourced information from people. The rest are all media rumors or journalists we have on. And, the ones that I've pushed out have been Varane, the Jules Kounde to Chelsea deal, the Saul Niguez situation. And there is one other, and it now seems to elude me in my mind. Lokonga. Like, they were literally the only 3 where I've kind of said, like, I haven't had Dean or Pete on this saying it. It's been I've gone to somebody else. And barring getting the timing of Jules Kounde wrong, like, they've all been bang on. But yeah, I still get like dog's abuse. So there is a personal element for me where I want this to go through. And let's see what happens there. And I know the Football Terrace community will protect me and go out on socials and push for these things. But like, it's important in relation to that. But you're going to have such a good squad. And how are you feeling ahead of this? I mean, it's another really big week in terms of you're going to be up against Liverpool. You could be having Jules Kounde come in. The confidence and the feel-good factor at Chelsea must be so good right now.
Yeah, it is. And you saw it yesterday. I mean, we really, I don't know terms. We didn't get out of like neutral gear really that second half. I mean, some Arsenal fans even commented, "Oh, Arsenal played well in the second half." I thought we still had the better chances in the second half still yesterday, and we could have gone on. That reminded me of a Chelsea performance of old. Do you know when we used to just go 2-0 up and we just killed the game, and we dictated it, and that was something. I mean, I know Lukaku's got a lot of credit, and I'll say Pablo Mari is not Premier League quality defender whatsoever. He is very bad, but he said it to put him to the sword. I am really looking forward to playing Liverpool. I respect the team and their manager. Some of their fans have got big mouths, so I'm going to let them run their mouths this week and hope to collect a lot of receipts after Saturday night, because we're already being told after Saturday that Liverpool were going to smack us up. They're going to beat us. We're not going to win the title. They're going to win the title. They've got the best defense. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's a massive test for both managers. It'll be, I think Liverpool, see if Klopp has learned, if he's going to play the high line, because I think Werner is going to start on Saturday, especially against the high line. And it'll be interesting to see how Lukaku comes up against a Van Dijk, against a Matip, and see what the difference is, or see if he can still continue his bulldozing form. But, this is a great run. It's a great run of games to Chelsea. They've got this, Villa, Spurs, Man City afterwards. If we come out anywhere near 18, 20 points after the first 7 games, then I'm going to be ecstatic, because that's a hard run of opening fixtures. So it's all looking good.
And I think the positive thing there for Chelsea is, if you beat like Liverpool this week, because of the tough start you've had, the great thing about having a tough run and winning those games is that you then suddenly go into this run of, there'll be a cluster of easier games. Now, you have to go and win them. There's no give-me's in the Premier League, but it gives you such a great base foundation to start from, if that makes sense. It puts you in a really good kind of position. So, yeah, it's going to be an intriguing one, and I think that the Liverpool build-up this week is going to be gargantuan, because as we know, I don't even know if people have seen this. If they haven't seen it, I've got to share this. So this was what one of our Liverpool fans called in. I'm going to find this video now. This is what one of our Liverpool fans who called into the show said. I'm going to get this. I'm going to put it onto the screen in just a few moments while I get this done. This is how confident Liverpool fans are ahead of this weekend.
For him and for us as well with Mane, because you're not going to get 17 chances against Chelsea. But the thing is with Chelsea, like, I can't believe it, like, people are really mentioning Lukaku and Liverpool, because Lukaku is going to be in Van Dijk's back pocket. Lukaku will be in Matip's back pocket. Lukaku will do absolutely nothing against Liverpool Football Club. Let's not act like we've not been watching football for the past 10 years. Lukaku underperforms in big games, whether you say I'm not saying he's a bad big game performer, but he underperforms. Lukaku will categorically do nothing against Liverpool Football Club whatsoever. I'm worried about the other guys Chelsea have. I'm worried about Turbo Timo, but then he gets in front of the goal and misses. So that as well is not like I'm not too scared of Chelsea whatsoever. I'm not scared of playing anyone in the league.
So as you can see, they're not scared of playing anyone in the league and not concerned. So as you said, mate, like they seem like, you know, they're really confident Liverpool are playing you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I let them be confident. I mean, Sam seems to think that we're still talking about Lukaku from Manchester United. So obviously he's not been doing his research on Lukaku. It is a different Lukaku. It's the big test for him. See whether he comes. See whether he is able to perform against someone like Van Dijk or Matip. If he does perform, will we get the excuses from Liverpool fans that Van Dijk and Matip have only just come back from injury, they weren't ready, stuff like that? But Lukaku can have a big impact on the game without scoring. They do realise that, right? They do realise that Lukaku doesn't have to score to have a massive impact on that game. If he just distracts Matip and Van Dijk as much as possible physically, then whoever's playing with him, Havertz or Werner, can benefit of that. And if Klopp does what he has been doing, and he's a bit stubborn and plays a high line against someone like Timo Werner, then they could be in trouble, because that's what they did last year. This last season. They did that last season. I'm expecting a load of changes from Chelsea into the game. Kante's going to come in. I expect Mount to drop a bit deeper as well to go up against their free in midfield. And, you know, I'm not fearful of Liverpool. I'm just not fearful of them. They don't fear me, because I tell you why I don't fear them, because Thomas Tuchel has given me confidence in this Chelsea team. That's what he's done. He's got my confidence on this Chelsea team. And what he does, he is a supreme tactician. He's already probably today setting out his tactics, what he wants for that Liverpool game. I have no fear of going to Anfield. I don't care if they got their fans back. I've got no fear of them whatsoever. So bring it on.
And I do understand that. And I do understand that notion. And this is what I want to see. And obviously, we're going to make a decision today as to whether or not we're going to be doing the Friday night show this Friday, because there's a few people away and we're still obviously in pilot stage. But I want to preview that in that studio, bruv, because if Arsenal-Chelsea was fiery, Liverpool-Chelsea in that studio with the audio working right, so YouTube can see properly. Like, honestly, Javern's been working so hard all weekend, but we'll have to preview it. But listen, thanks for coming on, mate, and having your say, Andrew.
No
Top man. Got Liverpool fans and Chelsea fans aplenty that are absolutely buzzing. We've got a Liverpool fan backstage, actually, Glenn, that's going to come on and have his say. I want to say a massive thank you here to Cole P for becoming an official member of the Football Test. And if you want to join us for the next Friday night live show, if you're a legend or a super fan, if you're a first team member, I'm going to post out like the invite link later on today, so you can put your name down on the list to be part of our live audience and part of our live crowd. As per last week, there'll be a few subtle changes and differences to the show moving into this week, but we want to get you involved in that as much as possible. Cole P, thank you very much, as I say, for becoming an official upgraded his member to first team member there. Really appreciate that, brother. Thank you very much indeed. Todd here says Liverpool will end Chelsea's run. There we go. Terry, can you play that video again? Maybe a little bit later. Next, we're getting a Liverpool fan on the show next. Liverpool fan Glenn is here to have his say with us. Glenn, what are you saying, mate?
Hi, Terry. I'm just a little nervous, to be honest, about the Chelsea game.
How come?
Van Dijk and Matip is back from injury. They have looked well, but we've had some scares against both Norwich and Burnley. So with Lukaku, with a better attack with Chelsea, we can be taken, and it's gonna be our first real test this season.
Yeah, I mean, look, most Chelsea fans yesterday said that Liverpool will be their first real test as well, and it's there. Are you scared of Chelsea though? Are you nervous about playing them? Are you worried about them, or do you think that do you think Jurgen Klopp and your German manager will have what it takes? Will have what it takes to outmaneuver him?
I think Klopp is the better manager, so I am expecting him to outdo Tuchel. But it depends if our players can outplay Chelsea on the field.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that completely. Glenn, great call, mate. Thanks for coming on and having your say. Liverpool fan there. Not nervous. Well, yeah, nervous, not scared. Thinks his manager's better. It's going to be a big build-up to this game this weekend. It's going to be a huge, huge build-up indeed. Lamin's going to be on the show in a minute with me. David's on his way in. He just requested that link. Make sure you sign up to our new notifications group, please, ladies and gentlemen. Getting towards 1,000 members in there, which is absolutely amazing. Lamin's a Chelsea fan. He's back on the footy terrace. What you saying, mate?
Yes, Terry. I'm still high off our win yesterday. Obviously, great win, but it was expected, really. It's just what we do to small teams nowadays, isn't it? So can't really be too gassed about that. But one thing I wanted to say about these Liverpool fans here, I don't know about you, but I'm becoming so sick and tired of like these Liverpool fans. Can you please remind me how many Premier League titles did they win? They won one Premier League title. Okay, I like the Liverpool that I know. Well, obviously growing up, it's the ones that just hang in there about get the third or fourth, and then they just fall away. Okay, might win the occasional Champions League, but that's about it, really. Your greatest ever player, according to you, has never won a Premier League title. But you can sit here and chat all of this shit. We'll see what happened, basically. But Liverpool, they're not even in my view right now because we are like competing at a different level. Like our arrogance and bullshit is at all-time high right now. And there is legit nothing I see from Liverpool that fears me. I know for a fact that we're gonna slap them up. And when we do, to be honest, like City is the only team that I fear right now. They're the only team. And I don't see Liverpool how they are going to stop us because you haven't spent. And do they actually know that they're going to lose Salah and Mane in January? Because I don't think they know that. So how are you going to compete for the Premier League title, yeah, when your two best players are going to be gone and you don't really have a replacement for them? So, yeah, keep talking with all of this chess, but we will see who wins on Saturday, really, because, we got the best striker in the league. That's all I'm going to say.
Lamin, very confident there as well, mate. Listen, top man, thanks for coming on and having your say, mate. Really appreciate it, bro. Take care of yourself. Thank you. Thank you. Chelsea fans, Liverpool fans, they seem really up for this. We're getting Abs back on the show. It's been a while since Abs has been on, but do me a favor this morning and smash that like button, people. Let's get this past 500 likes. If you're watching over on Twitter, remember, if you want to come on and have your say, if you're watching on, I know there's quite a few people still watching on Twitter, come across to YouTube and get the link. The link's here on YouTube for you to dial in and have your say. Challenge maybe what some of these Chelsea fans are saying. Give me an opinion on anything that's being discussed today. A quick roundup and update for you, though. So, Jules Kounde to Chelsea, seemingly entering into the final stages of completion as things stand right about now. That is what we're currently seeing, and that is what we're currently being told. Kurt Zouma, verbal agreement between West Ham and Chelsea in place, personal terms being worked on. We've had updates today from various sources across social media about the Saul Niguez situation. H. Grimes, who is seen as very credible in the social media front when it comes to transfers, has said that they are out of the race. What we do know for sure is that Chelsea are pursuing that deal also. We want your thoughts. We want your feelings. Abs is now here with me. Smash that like and share button, people, and come on and have your say. Abs, welcome back to the terrace, mate. What are you here to say, my friend?
All right, so first off, I might have to give a bit of a rinsing session to the pagans, chatting about Mikelota and what happened. What was his name? Who's that guy that in defense? Pablo Marie, the flipping dropper corner, Joe Flanagan, bro. He was rubbish yesterday. Got absolutely destroyed by Lukaku. So, yeah, Tchouaméni and Niguez and Kounde. Personally, for me, we just need. I really think we're going to win the league, to be perfectly honest. And when we go play Liverpool, I don't think we're going to slap them. I don't think it will be an easy win, but I think we'll win. And yeah, if I was to choose based on what we have already, I'd probably say Tchouaméni instead of Niguez, because Niguez is a little bit older. Fair enough, he's got experience, but Tchouaméni is a guy where we can actually. Tchouaméni, sorry. Is a guy who's a bit younger. We've got a good few years left in him, whereas Niguez is 26, and especially with the way that DMs are nowadays, it may be that he lasts only a few years and then he ends up leaving. Whereas Tchouaméni could be someone who stays for a while, I guess. And yeah, we just need to get him and Kounde over the line. Then after that, there's no doubt about it, we're going to win the league.
You're that confident you're going to win the league?
Yeah. Why not? We've got T Squared, Thomas Tuchel in charge. We've got Romelu Lengman up front. We've got Kai Havertz, generational talent. Thiago Silva at the back. The best DM in the world, N'Golo Kante. Why can't we win this league? I told you, Terry, we don't go 5 years without winning a league title under Roman Abramovich. This year's our 5th year. We're going to win it. It's like when we signed Costa and Fabregas, rinse and repeat, except for different positions, obviously. But yeah, I'm confident we can win it.
It's a big claim. I mean, how are you feeling about playing Liverpool this weekend?
I already said I think we'll win. It's not going to be a walk in the park. I'm not going to act like they're crap and we're just going to go up there and slap 4-5 past them. I think it will be a very tight game, but I do think we'll win just because Liverpool, like a lot of these high pressing teams, will just play into our hands. High line, it's not really high risk, high reward, but it's more like front foot attacking football. And the thing is, whenever we come up against them kind of teams, we know they like to sit back and control the tempo a bit. And considering we've got runners in the midfield like Kante and Kovacic as well, there's no reason why we can't beat them. Yeah, they've got Van Dijk back and Matip back, and don't get me wrong, they're two fantastic centre-backs. But we've got Romelu Lukaku up front. We've got R9. We've got Bolingoli.
Look, I hear you on that. What do you make of the claim by the Liverpool fan that we showed the clip for, where he said that VVD will pocket him? What's your stance on that?
I'm not sure it's going to be a pocketing so much. I just think it's a case of. Oh no, I actually think it's going to be a good battle. I think Van Dijk will probably have a decent game, but that's not to say that Lukaku necessarily targets Van Dijk, if you get what I'm saying. In terms of, I think they're going to probably pin Lukaku against Matip, or they could do a thing where they play Lukaku against Van Dijk and then Werner against Matip. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, I guess. There
we go. Abs, great call, mate. Thanks for coming on and having your say. Top, man. Thank you. Let's look at that poll. Let's look at that poll that's out right now. 80% of you think that Jules Kounde will be done this week. Certainly looks like it could be that way. David's coming on next. Make sure that like button's been smashed, people. What's some of these comments saying here? One of my members, Mr. Dan, says, I think it will be Werner and Lukaku up front. High line maybe to exploit there. A bit more speed. Absolutely. That's the versatility that's now there. Liverpool versus Chelsea, City versus Arsenal, and Rangers Celtic. What a weekend of football. And on top of that, yeah, we don't take... Someone's calling in via the new app, but the new notification system. We don't take calls via that, but you can get the link. I'll share the link in there again, actually, with you right now, if you haven't had it already. Let me get that into you now, because I know people want to phone in and have their say. That link's now been shared. It's still streaming, but we share it in there. Also this weekend, Lady Freya's birthday. She turns 3. So, yeah, big weekend ahead. Big weekend ahead. David's now here with me. What are you saying, David?
I'm good.
Yeah, man. Is that the new Chelsea away kit?
No, it's my old Dortmund one.
I know. I knew it would be Dortmund. What are you here to say, mate?
Just happy with yesterday. Lukaku looks really good. Hopefully Kounde's completed by the end of the week. I mean, it basically has to be a bit by the end of the week, because next week is the deadline day. Tune in, because the deadline day show is always amazing. But yeah, we hopefully gets completed next week, and then we look to Liverpool on the weekend. It's very simple.
Yeah. Speaking of deadline, we've got graphics ready for deadline day. We're ready for deadline day in the football terrace. Don't worry about that. The link's already out for that show. Like, we're building that up. It's going to be. I say it's going to be a big one. all the big deals are done, it's going to be sitting there going, right, what's happened? Oh yeah, Burnley have just signed some nobody from Chester. You know what I mean? It's like that'd be fun. That'd be a fun 4 hours of sitting there. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. And this weekend, I mean, what football we've got? You've got Man City, Arsenal, which should be a drumming for Arsenal. All things being fair, like the way City play football. City, when they played Arsenal in recent years, there have been a few games that have been closer, but generally, there's nearly always that goal. It feels like there's always that goal in the opening 10 minutes, always. Like, and it's always a really good passing move, and then it ends up at one of the back posts for somebody to tap it in. I could see that coming. And then on the same day, a few hours later, you play Liverpool. Liverpool fans seem really confident. Chelsea fans seem really confident. Like, what's your take on the sort of the level of we're going to win, the level of sort of bravado that's coming with this, the build up to it? I mean, this game was being built up before you even kicked off against Arsenal. So, like, what's your take on it?
I mean, it's definitely more from Liverpool's side. I feel like they have almost something to prove, because I think they're really hurt by people thinking they might drop out of the top four, which isn't, again, I don't think it's outrageous, but they all seem to think that, how dare you think we can get injuries, when literally the season before they all got injuries. So I like, they're already getting injuries. James Milner had to miss his weekend because of an injury. Ox had to miss because of personal reasons, or somebody else had to miss because of personal reasons. But again, it wouldn't shock me if next game they picked up an injury, or the game after they picked up an injury. So I definitely feel like, you know, the whole, because they all live in Liverpool land where everything's really positive. When they come out of Liverpool land and people are saying, you may not be what you think you are, they get really hurt by it. And then they feel like they have to come out and be like, we're going to win the league. I don't think they will. But it's definitely more from Liverpool's side. Do I think Chelsea can win? Yes. But it's going to be a very close game. Like, very close. I think our front line's going to change. I think it'll go Werner, Lukaku, and Mount. I think that's what the front line's going to be. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued, but I'm really excited about the games. I do wish the Man United game was before them. Whenever there's these big games at weekends, I like my game to be before it, so that hopefully we can win. And then it's like, whatever happens, I'm in a good mood, because I hate watching these big games and buzzing. And it's like, my team's got to play now, and it could ruin that whole like feeling. But yeah, like, it's going to be a big weekend. And what I love about football, though, is the fact that there are no foregone conclusions. City should beat Arsenal, but who knows? Who knows what could happen? Nobody expected Spurs to beat Man City in that opening day. So who knows what happens in relation to that? And then with yourselves in your game, I understand why both sets of fans are confident. I do, because you're both looking really, really good at the moment. And it is that first big acid test of the season to really look at where you are, how things stand. Even for the likes of Virgil, for instance, it's going to be his first test up against killers. His first test, Tsimikas playing at
Tsimikas against Reece James, that is a massive battle, massive. Because they're obviously, as you saw yesterday, they were in a 4, we were in a 3, and Reece James just had the freedom of the pitch, basically. And I feel like that Reece James Lukaku thing is going to become a very prominent link up, very prominent. And Tsimikas is, I still have question marks over Tsimikas, even though he's in my fantasy team.
Yeah. And this is what's going to be very, very interesting is to see what happens when, because what we saw yesterday, now Liverpool a much better team. Arsenal being drawn into Lukaku like moths to a light. And it was narrowing things. It was giving Reece James, the space he had to both set the first goal up and then to score his goal. Kieran Tierney spoken about as being the best left back in the league by some Arsenal fans. And honestly, he looked
goals down his side.
Yeah, he looked beyond lost yesterday, but that was the presence of Lukaku. It's going to be, I'm really intrigued to see what Lukaku's presence does to Liverpool. Now, Liverpool fans will say it will do nothing. There'll be no issues. They'll handle him. Like VVD by himself can sort him out. And the great thing, the mad thing about it is Matip, is looking amazing at the moment as well. So it's going to be, from a neutral's point of view, a great battle. It may not actually be a scintillate. This is where eye test merchants will struggle. It could actually be a game where you nullify each other so much that nothing really happens. But I love those games. Do you understand what I mean? Where it's like the defenders on both sides are so good that it's hard for the attackers to break them down. Eye test merchants will watch that and say, rubbish game of football. For me, I think that's the purest type of football where Like if you play a game of football and the defenses have really good games, it's not because it doesn't mean your strikers are playing badly. It's just like if defenders have world-class games, it makes it very hard for even the best strikers in the world to do anything. And that's what I'm intrigued. I'm just intrigued to see that battle this weekend. I think it's going to be amazing.
It just depends. I think it really depends how high they play their line, because if they're at the halfway line, I mean, Werner definitely is faster than them. There is a shout for Lukaku being as fast as their centre backs as well. Like he's yesterday, because he slimmed down so much. When he does the hold the ball in and then he turns, like he's a lot faster. Like in general, attackers are faster than defenders when it comes to being in the right position. But when you saw the amount, like there was a chance when Reece James got the goal for Lukaku was streets ahead of the defenders. But there was another point when Reece cut it back to Mason when he probably should have gone back to Lukaku. But because of the way that he's held them off and he's turned and he's shrugged them all off, he's already got a massive head start ahead of them, and he's just as fast as them anyway. So
yeah, it's
like genuinely, it shocked me how much he like, because I even predicted he'd be top goal scorer at the Euros. So I obviously know he's a good player. Like I've never said that he's bad. I said he would score goals, but it was like the level of improvement from what I saw at United to what I've seen at Chelsea. Flip-flop. The level of improvement.
You flip-flopping. Is that what you're doing?
I'm not flip-flopping yet. So if he performs like he did yesterday against Liverpool, I can't say anything. That's the best defense in the league.
If yesterday's performance is 90% of his time at Chelsea, and I'm talking 90% of all games, so you might have a few games where he's not that good, and he performs in 90% of the big games like that, no one is. I guarantee you by the end of the season, people will have forgot that you paid basically £100 million for him. And that's the thing with transfer fees. Like, no one talks about. I think Bruno is very close. We only have to win a major title and then Sporting get their full 67 million. Do you ever hear anyone talk about Bruno Fernandes's wages or transfer fee? Does it ever come up?
No, because he's just too good.
Because he's been.
This is my point of Lukaku. It's like people were saying he can come in and score 18 league goals and be okay. I was like, no, that's not okay, because he's meant to be that person. If he performs like that every game week or 9 out of 10 game weeks, he's going to end up with 25, 30 goals. Those are the levels where you sit there and go, that's when no one's going to talk about the price, which is exactly what I wanted. It's literally exactly what I wanted. So
this is one of my best comments of the day is what happened to Sancho. That fraud is finished.
The other thing is, I watched the United game and it really annoyed me because you brought on Sancho, you just never used him. He was literally he was playing and he was just
he was in his tactics yesterday. Do you know what I saw in Chelsea's game yesterday? Like I watched that game back as well last night, about 60 minutes, like extended highlights, and Chelsea went quite quiet in periods of the game, and that's because of fitness. It's because at this stage of the season, you can't go hell for leather for 90 minutes. It just doesn't. What you'll do if you do that from the first whistle is you'll burn out. You'll hit 70 minutes and have no legs left. And at this level of the game, when your legs go, you're in absolute trouble. Leeds United against Man United, they went hell for leather from the first whistle. They got to that 50, 60 minute mark and their legs went. And I think Man United went through lulls in that game. And I as a fan, I was annoyed. I'm like, why aren't we attacking? We scored that goal. And then it was like we're having all these rampaging attacks. I'm like, yeah, we're going to win now. I felt like you felt that. And then we just sort of stopped. And I've heard people say it's tactics. I'm like, it wasn't. It was a lack of it. It was a lack of effort. And I'm not defending that, but it was like it wasn't the tactics, because the tactics 5 minutes earlier were ripping them apart. But yesterday's game was very weird as well. We actually did better yesterday when Southampton sat back and we had to break them down. It was when Southampton attacked us that we become a little bit more lethargic. And I think for me, it was a fitness thing. Same with I think if you played Arsenal in November when your team is at tip-top fitness, you'd have beaten them 4 or 5-0 yesterday. Because you were cutting through them. It was almost you took your foot off the gas. And it's because at this stage of the season, you can't go out hell for leather.
There was no need to do it yesterday. There was no need. You had a 2-goal cushion. Arsenal had tied themselves out as well. You saw the amount of sprinting they were doing to try and even get close to our box. By the time it hit the 70th minute, even though they were 2-0 down, they all went and sat back because they were like, we can't.
I agree. The difference was, though, and I say, like, Ollie made massive mistakes at the weekend. Wrong lineup, wrong substitutions. And I think those things impacted the fatigue more for this stage of the campaign. So Ollie still has to take a large slice of the responsibility. But we should have scored. I watched it back, and how Lindelof missed his header is ridiculous. And then Maguire and Pogba at the back post should have scored. And then Martial should have scored. And a few minutes later, Pogba gets a volley, and it was a good block. But I still think a player should be finishing from there. He had another block in the second half. Greenwood missed a header from a few yards out. A brilliant save from a Bruno Fernandes header. And there were sort of moments in the game. There's a great ball across the 6-yard box from McTominay where none of our attackers made the run. If they make the run, it's a goal. It wasn't like we did it. That was my point. When you watch something back and you evaluate it, it's like, and by the way, we got caught at one point. Great save from David De Gea. They could have took the lead. But we had such an abundance of chances in that game. It was a case of, if we'd have taken some of those early chances, when that fatigue fitted in and we had to be a little less on the front foot, you wouldn't have noticed because we were leading. And that's where I think in the early stages of the campaign, being clinical in those early stages is so key, because it gives you that insurance policy. So when you die out a little bit later on in the game and you take those natural breaks you need at this point, it is what it is. But 5-6 games in, and then you'll start to see that change. And you'll start to see the Liverpools and the Chelseas and the Cities, for instance, just going absolutely hell for leather for pretty much 90 minutes.
Ironically, though, probably your worst finish of the game is what got you the goal. Because when you look back at it, you just shot it at the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper kind of just let it go through it. And I was there like, McCarthy, man. What are you? You're a Premier League goalkeeper. The ball's literally, he could have just stood still and saved it. But he dived and then it went through his, and I was just like, but you at least deserved a goal. I feel like 1-1 was it was a fair result. Also, Livramento. That kid, I'm so happy we have a buyback on him. Chelsea are being a lot smart with how they let their youth players go, because we sell them, but we had a buyback or we have first refusal. It's like that kid yesterday, even Luke Shaw handled him pretty well, but the pace he's got, give him 2 or 3 years of consistent.
He looked very, very good indeed.
Very good.
No doubt at all. Listen, everyone that's tuned in this morning, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. Means a great deal to us here. We're back later on today with more content for you as well. There does feel like there's some big transfer news brewing very, very nicely indeed. Harry Kane updates, Kounde updates, Man United midfield pursuit updates. I know what Arsenal are going to do now. It might be all over for them, but we will see. But until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all.